Hi everyone, it's Tasha. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. Well, I don't know about you, but I have officially pulled out my pumpkin spice hand soap now. I don't know if you've been to any stores in person recently, but it seems like fall decorating is in full swing. I'm just easing into the fall spirit and beginning to tweak my home and get some pieces and DIYs together for fall, so I thought that I would share all of that so far with you in today's video. Now, it just so happened to work out that I'm going to be focusing on non-pumpkin fall accents, and so I'll start out with a pomegranate DIY. As soon as I saw these stone pomegranates from Williams-Sonoma, I knew that I wanted to give a DIY version of this a shot. I love to have a whole bowl of these, but for $59 a piece, that would add up to quite a bit. Luckily, I had on hand these faux pomegranates from last year from the thrift shop, and they were in great shape, but I never really ended up putting them out for decor for very long because the red was just kind of too bright. It didn't particularly go with the atmosphere in my home, so they were the perfect candidate to get a DIY makeover. So what I'm doing is just mixing up some paint in an urbane bronze color from Sherwin-Williams, and I mix that with a good amount of baking soda to make it thick and give it some texture. You all have seen this method before, I am sure, and I'm just going over all of the pomegranates with one initial coat of this after lightly sanding the pomegranate just so that that first coat of paint would stick pretty well. I decided after a few minutes to get out some paper cups and give them a little spot to rest while I was working on them, and then I'm letting that first coat dry. I'm going over them then with a second coat of the same mixture, but dabbing it on with a paper towel this time to make sure that it has a nice dimpled and textured appearance for that second coat. And after that base color of urbane bronze really sets and dries, I'm going in with a lighter beige color. This is White Duck by Sherwin-Williams, which I just happen to have on hand, but you could use any sort of beige color if you're trying to emulate this look. So I'm using a paper towel for this that's just all balled up, and I'm watering down my paint by about 50-50 with some water. So I'm just dabbing all over the pomegranate with this color as well, and I'm focusing more heavily up around the stem part of the pomegranate, more like I saw in my inspiration photo. I'm also going back and forth with a little bit more of the urbane bronze color and just patting all over back and forth with those two colors to get a really nice blended and stippled effect. I'm also going in with just a little bit more of the White Duck color around the stem just to really make that pop a little bit more and stand out like the inspiration photo. And once everything dries, I think that it looks really close to the inspiration photo at Williams-Sonoma. I think that these do look a lot like stone, and I'm really happy with how they turned out. I did create 6 of these, but honestly my favorite way to style them was 2 at a time on a stack of books like this. And one of my favorite unexpected pieces for fall are pears. We usually see so many pumpkins everywhere, but pears I feel like bring in a softer, more refined seasonal touch. They feel cozy, organic, and definitely seasonal, but also really chic. I just happened to find this pear piece at a thrift shop just the other day for just $4.99. It is a silver plated piece, and I thought that it was so pretty, especially with the two-tone stem and leaf. The bottom section of it was weirdly very patinaed and dark versus the top section, so it looked kind of funny. So I went ahead and purchased some quality silver cleaning polish from Amazon, and it was so worth it. I haven't actually used this product before or any real silver polish. I've always just done DIY home methods, but I'm not going back, I don't think, because this stuff works so well and so easily. As you can see, it's just coming right off with this polish. And once I am done, I think that this piece is absolutely stunning. I know I say this a lot, but I could definitely see, just scrolling through somewhere like McGee & Co., I could totally see this pear for sale for so much more than the $5 that I paid for it. And so I think that it's really gorgeous find. I can style this really anywhere around the house, but I'm choosing to just feature it right now on this stack of books, and honestly I think it looks completely stunning. I'm so glad that I happened to find this at Goodwill. Now I'm just going to turn my attention to some of the wovens and things that I have found in my home for fall. I recently found this pillow and showed you all in my living room refresh. This is perfect for fall or any time of year, of course, but definitely the rich olive tones make it really great for the autumn season. I've already pulled out some of my favorite thrifted blanket finds that I've gotten over the past few months. This one is from Pottery Barn. This one is a chunky knit throw that I found. It's from the Threshold line, but I found it at the thrift store in just pristine condition, and so this is one that I've definitely pulled out and already styled for the autumn season in our family room. I think that it's really fortunate. Sometimes with linens and things at the thrift store you have to be careful because they'll have picks or tears. That one was in great condition. I also just recently DIY'd this long lumbar pillow. I found this pillow, it's actually from West Elm, but I found it at Goodwill. I didn't particularly like that cover though, so I made my own cover with a flange edge, and that was a first for me, but it went really well, so I'm going to be doing that again. But definitely this rich brown color screams autumn and is the perfect touch for our bedroom upstairs. Also, I have to point out these wonderful woven pears that I found, I think 2 years ago at a thrift shop. I can't honestly remember exactly how much they cost each, but definitely they were under $10 each, somewhere around $5, $6, somewhere in that range, and they are just perfect. So you could do something like add some ribbon or something to these, but I like them just as they are this season, just the really natural element of that woven material, and I love that there are two of them and that they are slightly different sizes. They were the perfect set. So I did go to Hobby Lobby in person last weekend, and just to check out and kind of see what they had. I saw so many different cosmos that they had all different shades in these autumn tones, and that was really fun. I picked up some of the darkest orange, basically like a brown color cosmos. They were all on a 40% off sale when I was there, and I also picked up some of these blackberry stems, which I had not seen. I think that they're new from this season. I was on the fence about them, but my 5-year-old daughter actually really loved them, and so she convinced me to bring them home, and I'm so glad that I did because I think they look absolutely stunning styled together in a dark black vintage style vase. They just look really pretty in a group. I also picked up some of these faux dried hydrangeas from Hobby Lobby. I thought that they did a great job with these. They look so realistic in my opinion, especially since they have these kind of crunchy, kind of dried edges around a lot of the petals. They really do look like a real dried floral, and they come in 3 different colors. I also happened to find this beautiful oval dark brown woven tray at a thrift shop. It was just $4.50, so I did think that that was a pretty good deal for a tray of this size, and I went ahead and picked it up just to add a little bit more texture into some of my vignettes and surfaces for the fall season. I'm going to be trying it out on the coffee table here in the living room, although I do think honestly I would prefer it to be slightly larger size for this table, but I'm going to try it out here anyway and then reserve the right to kind of move it around somewhere else later if I want to. But it is a nice piece for grouping smaller decor together and adding a lot of texture underneath. I love how it looks with these marble candle holders and this pedestal bowl with some asparagus bush styled on top. I don't think I ever wanna go come closer next to me. Trying to find another way to say this, but I think. And so perhaps the ultimate classic symbol of fall is the simple and humble leaf. And at Pottery Barn this year, the terracotta leaf bowl has been very popular with shoppers. I totally understand why, because it is really sweet. I love the rustic charm of it, the simplicity of it. It adds a lot of warmth. I'm going to try to DIY my own and see how that turns out. So I have this leaf template that I just printed from online on some regular printer paper as large as I could. Cutting that out. Now you can use modeling clay that is a terracotta color already, but I already had some white air dried clay on hand, so I'm just going to be using that and using a terracotta colored paint on top of it. So the first thing I'm doing is of course just rolling out a piece of this clay big enough for my paper template, and then I'm going in carefully and taking my time and cutting around that with a craft knife. That step took a few minutes but wasn't difficult at all, and then when I was done, I just peeled the paper template out of the way. If I were doing this all over again, I would do that on top of parchment paper, not on top of a silicone mat, because I did have a little trouble with it sticking, but I got it off in one piece. Next, I'm just sitting this whole tray into a little bowl that's got a very shallow curve to it, and I think that that's about the shape that I'm going to want my dried tray to be. 2 days after that point, this is how it looks. It's a solid piece. It's mostly dry, but I did wait an extra day before the next step of painting it. This is the paint that I got. I got this one from Amazon. It's actually called Terracotta Line, and it has different shades that are terracotta-like, and I chose this one. It is the most kind of neutral of the ones that I saw, but I will link to both of the ones that I considered for this project. And again, I'm just adding some baking powder to my paint to make it a nice thick textured layer instead of just looking like a flat painted piece. It went on really well. It was very simple and cathartic. I like to do little projects like this, and I do think that the baking soda really gave it a more textured feel, and I would not recommend skipping that step. Once the paint is all dry, I'm just going to be styling this on this little sideboard table in our dining room. I'm using 2 coffee table books and just putting the leaf tray simply right on top for a very pared back and simple look, but I think it definitely has a lot of that autumn charm. It's not as beautiful as the Pottery Barn piece. It's also not quite as thick, but I think that it has a similar feel, and I'm glad that I went ahead and gave this one a shot. Thank you for joining me for today's video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like button and leave me a comment letting me know what you enjoyed. Hope everyone listening has a fantastic week, and I'll see you at the next video.